September 2nd, Monday of week 22nd in ordinary time. A reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. When I came to you, brothers, it was not with any show of oratory or philosophy, but simply to tell you what God had guaranteed during my stay with you. The only knowledge I claimed to have was about Jesus, and only about Him as the crucified Christ. Far from relying on any power of my own, I came among you in great fear and trembling, and in my speeches and the sermons that I gave, there were none of the arguments that belong to philosophy, only a demonstration of the power of the Spirit. And I did this so that your faith should not depend on human philosophy, but on the power of God. The word of the Lord. Lord, I love your commands. Lord, how I love your law. It is ever in my mind. Your command makes me wiser than my foes. For it is mine forever. Lord, I love your commands. I have more insight than all who teach me, for I ponder your will. I have no understanding than the world, for I keep your precepts. Lord, I love your commands. I turn my feet from evil paths to obey your word. I have not turned from your decrees. You yourself have taught me. Lord, I love your commands. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. Jesus came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, as he usually did. He stood up to read, and they handed him the scroll of the prophet Isaiah. Unrolling the scroll, he found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord has been given to me, for he has anointed me. He has sent me to bring the good news to the poor, to proclaim liberty to captives, and to the blind new sight, to set the downtrodden free, to proclaim the Lord's year of favor." He then rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the assistant, and sat down. And all eyes in the synagogues were fixed on him. Then he began to speak to them. "This text is being fulfilled today, as you listen." And he won the approval of all, and they were astonished by the gracious words that came from his lips. They said, "This is Joseph's son, surely." But he replied, "No doubt. You will quote me the saying, 'Physician, heal yourself and tell me. We have heard all that happened in Capernaum. Do the same here in your own countryside.' And he went on, 'I tell you solemnly, no prophet is ever accepted in his own country.' There were many widows in Israel, I can assure you, in Elijah's days, when heaven remained shut for 3 years and 6 months, and a great famine raged throughout the land. But Elijah was not sent to any one of these. He was sent to a widow at Zarephath, a Sidonian town. And in the prophet Elisha's time, there were many lepers in Israel, but none of these were cured except the Syrian Naaman. When they heard this, everyone in the synagogue was enraged. They sprang to their feet and hustled him out of the town. And they took him up to the brow of the hill their town was built on, intended to throw him down the cliff. But he slipped through the crowd and walked away. The Gospel of the Lord.